because it's the simplest one, but because it has a serial referral to another committee that's meeting at 2 o'clock. So, House Bill 805, Preventing Sexual Exploitation from Women and Minors. Representative Neil Jackson, Representative Budd, Representative Stevens, Representative Bachman. Representative Jackson, you're recognized to present your bill.
House Bill 805, Preventing Sexual Exploitation of Women and Minors Act aims to protect women and minors from sexual exploitation by regulating the distribution of pornographic images online. It defines and addresses coerced consent. The bill targets exploitation of vulnerable groups such as minors, immigrants, and those in economic distress. And it must implant robust verification and removal systems which it enhances accountability. If I can, Representative Budd has worked immensely with me on this. I'd like for her to speak on this as well, if that's all right.
And before I recognize Representative Budd to speak, this is a PCS, and without objection, the PCS is before us. Now, Representative Budd, be quick.
Good morning. I will be quick. I'm Representative Budd. I am very excited to have partnered with Representative Jackson with respect to this bill. I think it goes a very long way in empowering women over their own bodies and decisions that are made, and in ensuring that we as the state legislature can take care of them in the event that something has gone on that requires us to undo consent for any behavior or actions that are taken. The bill is incredibly important to moving women forward and empowering them to make good decisions, as well as protecting them in the event something goes wrong.
All right, I see that we have two people signed up to speak. I understand you both support it. Is there a pressing need to speak? Let's see, Irene Lawrence, is there a pressing need to speak so we can get you over to the state and local? Irene Lawrence, pressing need to speak. Do you have a pressing need? Do you want to speak? We're in a hurry with it, huh? You want her to speak?
Absolutely, yeah.
Go ahead. We'll give you a minute, and then I'll go back and recognize Sergeant at Arms. I'm sorry, I've gotten carried away so far.
Okay. Good afternoon. My name is Irene Lawrence. I reside in Raleigh, North Carolina. Women's Declaration International, or WDI, is a global, nonpartisan group dedicated to women's sex-based rights, and WDI USA is its U.S. chapter. WDI is based on the Declaration on Women's Sex-Based Rights, which I have signed. Article 8 of this declaration calls for the elimination of violence against women, and Article 9 calls for the protection of children. Porn exposure in minors causes more sexist attitudes and more sexual aggression. Boys are more likely to perpetrate sexual assault, and girls are more likely to be its victims. Acts of aggression against mostly women occur in nearly all pornographic scenes. Negative effects on girls of this are risky sexual behavior, increased eating disorders, depression, low self-esteem, and reduced academic performance. 77% of voters support bills like this. Given the harms of porn on kids and voter support for age verification, we urge you to support H805.
Thank you. Joseph, back home, do you need to speak? Can you wave it off?
I can wave.
All right, because we're trying to get you over to state and local at 2 o'clock. And I'm sort of jumping around a little bit here, and I'm so sorry, but do we have further discussion or debate on this bill? Representative Butler.
I'd be pleased to make a motion at the appropriate time.
I believe this is the appropriate time.
I would like to move for a favorable report to House Bill 805 with a serial referral to state and local, and rules, calendar, and operation of the House.
All right.
It's a PCS.
It's a PCS.
Unfavorable as to the original.
All right. Thank you. You've heard the motion. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. The bill will be so reported. You're free to go down to state and local, which we'll get it to there. Now, we're going to back up because I didn't do the proper introduction to begin with. We have our House Sergeant at Arms, Ray Cook, Teresa Ferguson, she's outside, Thomas Terry, and Bill Riley. Thank you guys for being here. We also have a few pages. We have Bridget Gaffney, sponsored by Representative Speaker Hall. If you'll stand and just wave. Thank you. Reeves Newsom. Reeves is sponsored by Representative Glorstein Brown. And Lily Stringer, sponsored by Representative Speaker Dustin Hall. And is that all the pages we have? That's it. Thank you. Now, you can see I'm in high gear. Next, we're going to go to Representative Budd. House Bill 953, a study committee, she, Carson Smith, and Representative Todd Brown. You're recognized to present House Bill 953.
Good morning again. I will be equally as brief, but able to answer any questions. This is a bill that looks to study how we pay our ADAs, our Indigent Defense Counsel, and our privately retained criminal defense attorneys paid by the state, such that we can make sure that the pay is commensurate with where they are placed for jobs, whether that is urban, suburban, or rural, but also that we are filling in legal deserts, which is not talked about as much as, say, pay for DAs in urban areas. But all of it is, in fact, important. So what this bill does is have appointments from the House, the Senate, the North Carolina Bar Association, Justice Newby, the DA's Conference, and Indigent Defense Services. I think I got that name correctly. That committee will get together. They will study for the next year multiple models across the nation, including the U.S. Attorney's Office, as well as the U.S. military and how they pay their folks, and from there propose a set of recommendations that we hope to vote on next year. Thank you.
Further discussion or debate by the committee on this PCS that's before us without objection? Seeing none, seeing no discussion, Representative Budd moves for a favorable report to the PCS, unfavorable to the original, with a serial referral to rules. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say no. Anybody not happy, go home. Just kidding. Thank you, your bill passes. Be reported to rules. House Bill 896, Jesse's Law, and there is a PCS, and without objection, the PCS is before us. Representative Perret and Representative Servania.
Yeah, thank you, members of the committee. This is House Bill 896. The PCS would create a study committee on domestic violence training standards for professionals involved in child custody proceedings involving domestic violence and child abuse. This study would study the need and feasibility of implementing statewide training for individuals working in or with the judicial system in child custody cases involving domestic violence and child abuse. I wanted to recognize why it's the name of this bill is Jesse's Law. It's named after a 3-year-old who was killed by his father in 2012 after his mother filed for divorce. And I will say that I appreciate my co-sponsor, primary sponsor, Representative Servania. She did a lot of work on this bill. It was definitely a process, but we want to make sure we get this right and start the process of getting this passed on the right foot by doing a comprehensive study. Thank you.
Representative Servania, is there anything you want to say? All right.
Thank you, Chair. So I want to thank also my lead primary sponsor, Representative Perret. She was amazing to work with and on such an important topic. And Chair Stevens and the members of the committee, thank you so much for letting us speak today on this important bill. And just for context, every year family courts in North Carolina are faced with urgent, life-altering decisions when it comes to child custody cases. It involves allegations of domestic violence and child abuse. And these are not just complex and sensitive cases, but also ones that demand immediate attention. As my colleague had said, Representative Perret, this bill is named in memory of Jesse Melvin, a child who lost their life tragically as a result of a custody decision. It's so heart-wrenching in what has happened. But his mother, Christy Melvin, did everything she could to raise the concern and escalated the risk. But our courts, even with their best intentions, could have done more. And I think this training could be so powerful in calling that to action. So it's important to emphasize this is not just it's not a mandate today. It creates a space for collaboration. It brings representatives from the courts, legal aid, child advocacy, academia, behavioral health, all to provide a blueprint on what that training should look like. So it's a measured, bipartisan, responsible step, and it's also a beacon of hope for parents who are enduring this situation. And just as a final thought, it's not only honoring a child who lost his life, but a mother's courage to creating a condition of better outcomes for safety, for healing, and justice for families going forward. Thank you so much, and hopefully you can support this PCS.
And we have one person who wanted to speak on Jesse's Law, House Bill H-896. Michelle Beckman, you have 1 minute.
Chairperson and members of the committee, thank you for the opportunity to testify. My name is Michelle Beckman, and I'm here to voice the need for House Bill 896, Jesse's Law. I'm going to sum up my case with one acronym, DARVO, Deny, Attack, and Reverse Victim Offender, a tactic used by abusers in nearly every family court case. I entered family court in 2020 after my 2 young children disclosed sexual abuse by their father. 12 days later, I was involuntarily committed and hauled away in handcuffs. I was also served with a protective order. This is DARVO at its finest, used to create confusion among professionals about who the real offender is. I lost custody at the first hearing and was ordered a mere 6 hours of supervised visitation per week, ordered to undergo a psychological evaluation, drug testing, in order to pay child support on a $0 salary. The legal costs caused me to spiral into financial devastation, a goal of abusers. In the 5.5 years since being involved with family court, I've endured technology abuse, stalking, and death threats. My son...
I'm sorry, you'll have to conclude your remarks. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Further discussion or debate by the committee? Seeing none, looking for a motion. Representative Smith.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Move for a favorable report to the PCS of House Bill 896, unfavorable to the original with a referral to rules.
You've heard the motion. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The bill will be so reported. Thank you. House Bill 851. Representative Reeder. Representative Miller. Representative Purtle. And there is a PCS. Without objection, the PCS is before us. Dr. Reeder.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I'll be brief. You may recall last year we passed a bill, the Hospital Violence Protection Act, which required hospitals to have law enforcement officers on their property. As part of that, we looked at the statutes that govern different campus police or hospital police or company police. And this bill creates an additional type of police officer called a hospital police that has a little bit more authority than other company police and allows them to work inside the hospital, protect our patients and our staff who are some of the most threatened and injured workers out there. I'm happy to answer any questions, but would ask for your support.
Discussion by the committee. Representative Miller.
Motion at appropriate time.
Okay. Think this is appropriate time.
Motion for a favorable report, unfavorable to the original, and referred to rules.
You've heard the motion. Those in favor will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. It'll be so reported. Thank you, Dr. Reeder. Next, we'll go to House Bill 520. Representative Brody. Bell, Dahl, and Gable. And there's a PCS without objection. The PCS is before us.
Ready?
Yes, you.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members of the committee. As of 1:15, I have gotten 7 spam calls on my phone. I don't know if somebody beat that or not, but it happens every single day. And this led me to put together this bill to create an offense of abuse and deception by telemarketers. You own the rights to your phone number, and these telemarketers, in my opinion, invade your rights by pretending to be somebody else, or what we call spoofing another number to get your attention. Now, granted, let's be real, probably a good portion of these come from India or Nigeria or someplace like that, but there are a lot of domestic ones also, and this creates a civil and a criminal penalty for violating this. This bill has also have the support of the Attorney General's office. I'll stand for questions.
And we have Representative Gable here, but he's heard my comments and chooses not to speak. Further discussion by the committee. Representative Butler.
Yeah, I had a quick question for the bill sponsor. So, is this designed for, like, I know what you mean about the scam calls, but you get one, my phone tells me scam likely, and I just ignore it. Are there those who are receiving calls with it says like Williams Carpet Center, and then they answer and it's somebody in India selling something else? Is that happening? Because I don't get those.
As a chair, I'm going to just interject here and tell you that my phone has called me before as a spam call.
Did
People
you
spoof that
answer?
number.
Did you sell yourself something?
I looked at it and went, what? No, I did not answer because I knew I wasn't calling me.
So I would ask you to describe a little more detail exactly the phenomenon that's happening, because I don't seem to get those
Spoof
calls. I don't want those, but yeah.
Maybe your phone number hasn't hit the right list, but yes, I get them from banks and even my doctor, and just a number of areas. Occasionally, even there are people who actually have live numbers that I'd be in sitting committee, and somebody would call me, and I press, can you call back later? And I get a call back later, say, why did you call me? And I knew I didn't. So yeah, it's a variety, and it lists a number of ways. But it does happen, and I'd be glad to show you my phone.
Yeah,
and show you it does.
quick follow up to see if this
Yes,
would
ma'am.
be a violation. So, let's say the phone rings and I happen to be in the 910 area. That's where I live, and the phone comes 910 something something. So I'm like, well, it might be somebody I know, and so I answer it, and the person doesn't lie to me. All I see is the number. They don't lie to me. They say, hey, this is Sue. I'm calling to sell you some trinkets. I've got a special for trinkets. That's not a violation, is it? Or is it?
It's not a violation.
Because I see some reference in the bill to geography and misleading geography.
I would say the test to that is if you call them back and you get them. If you would call them back and you get them, then that is a legitimate telemarketing call. But if you call back and what you'll generally hear is, I have Verizon, this number is unassigned, and then you've been
Okay.
somebody be stand.
All right.
But you can hunt that down.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Representative Miller, did I see your hand raised? I saw somebody's hand raised for a motion. Representative Purtle.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I make a motion for a finding of, what word am I?
Favorable report for House Bill 520.
ACS to 520, unfavorable to the original, referral to rules.
All right, you've heard the motion. Those in favor will say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and it will be so reported. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Next, we're going to jump to House Bill 795, increase access for youth and foster families. It is a PCS, and without objection, the PCS is before us. Representative Loftus, Representative Penny. Okay. What, you feel like you're going to be cut out? You will be too.
I'll start coughing and I'll turn it over to Representative Penny. Thank you, Madam Chair and committee members. Legal guardianship is another way for child and youth in foster care can find a permanent home if reunification with the birth parents or adoption is no longer an option. This Kinship Guardian Assistance Program, or KINGAP, is designed to support permanent placement for foster youth who are placed with relatives and other kinship caregivers. Guardianship is considered when a child or youth's best interests are to stay connected with their birth parents and extended family, and permanency cannot be achieved in another way. Legal guardians are responsible for the day-to-day care and supervision of the child or youth and placed with them. Legal guardians have the same responsibility as parents, and social services no longer have legal custody of the child or youth or part involved in the family life unless the family reaches out to the social services for support. Currently, KINGAP offers financial assistance and Medicaid youth 13 to 18 years of age. Extending, which is what this bill does, KINGAP to 10 to 18 years of age will increase the number of youths in guardianship. I will stand for any questions. Appreciate my primary sponsor, Mr. Penny, for being with me today.
And the reason it's with us now is because it doesn't have any new appropriation. It takes the existing funds and expands upon that. That's why we have to meet crossover with it. Further discussion or debate by the committee? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion. Representative Miller.
Motion for favorable report, unfavorable to the original, and referred to rules, I'm assuming?
Favorable to the PCS, unfavorable, yes, for the referral to
For the
rules.
rules.
You've heard the motion. Those in favor will say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. It'll be so reported. I'm going to turn the dice over to Representative Smith, the chair.
House Bill 188, automatic renewal of contracts, is a PCS. Representative Stevens moves the PCS be before the committee without objection. So ordered. Representative Stevens, you can explain your bill.
Thank you, members. I think we have seen this bill before. It came back to us for an additional amendment, and that is it will exempt banks, credit unions, those type of financial institutions. I'll be happy to stand for any additional questions.
Any discussion from committee? Representative Smith.
Thank you, Representative Smith. Quick question. When this bill first came through committee, I remember asking a question about estates of a person who may have entered into a contract and then passed away prior to the contract's expiration. And I think that there, in certain circumstances, contracts can, if there's an automatic renewal provision, can bind the estate. So just some provision that would exempt the estate from being obligated to fulfill contractual obligations for the person who has passed away who entered into the original contract.
Representative Stevens.
Thank you. This would cover the renewal period. I think if the contract says heirs and assigns, it still has to finish the original term, but the automatic renewal would not be valid unless they've complied with all of this, which is the clear documentation, that kind of thing. I'd be happy to defer to staff if you want to ask something further. But normally in estates, the liability is gone except to the extent the state has money. The estate has money.
Representative Smith, answer your question, or would you like staff to weigh in?
If staff doesn't mind weighing in, I think that there can be contractual obligations that are imposed on the estate even after the person entering the contract is deceased, maybe provided it's not like for personal goods or services.
Ms. Griffiths.
Debbie Griffiths, Legislative Analysis. I think the Representative Stevens is correct. If the contract specifically states in it that it would apply to the heirs and assign,